This is going to be a book haul video. Got a whole bunch of books that I've gathered over the last couple of weeks. And I'm really looking forward to going through these with you. I've already started reading some of them. Some of them I've never read before. And so really looking forward to showing you these. And we'll start with the first one I found, Dracula by Bram Stoker. I've actually started reading this book. I've heard a lot about it, obviously. Never read it before. Started reading it. I'm a few chapters in, and I didn't know how much I would like this, but I'm really enjoying reading Dracula. So just a little, mass market paperback book. Really good shape. So yeah, Dracula. Really enjoying that one. Not a lot of fiction in this book haul, but that was one of them. And this is another one, Ernest Hemingway's A Farewell to Arms. I've read several books by Ernest Hemingway over the years, but I've never read this one. I guess the classic, The Old Man and the Sea. Most of us have probably read that at some point. It's a really short book. I think I've actually got it sitting on my shelf over there somewhere. But I've always heard of this one. I've never actually read it. The fact that it ties into World War I kind of puts it right there in my wheelhouse with the types of things that I like to read. So yeah, Ernest Hemingway, A Farewell to Arms, a Scribner classic. So really excited about those two. And then also came across this one. And I have really decided that I love this writer. And I pretty much made the decision that I'm going to buy anything I come across by this fella. But it's Into the Valley by John Hersey, the fellow who wrote Hiroshima. Really a journalistic look at the aftermath of Hiroshima. He goes to Hiroshima, interviews some people there who survived that. Into the Valley is Hersey goes to this remote place in the Pacific during World War II and sort of joins in with a group of Marines as they fight a battle. And he finds out, this ain't all it's cracked up to be. And it's a really short book, but a really powerful book. He's written quite a few other things, and what I've read so far by him makes me want to get more of what John Hersey wrote. So yeah, Into the Valley by John Hersey. Really looking forward to finding and coming across some more of his stuff. Came across this today. Most of these books, by the way, I picked up from either my local library or another local library. Most libraries I've come across, they have this used book sale space, even if it's just a couple of shelves. They have something there. And you can usually get, as you will see here, some books in really good shape for, you might pay 25 cents, 50 cents a book sometimes. Most of these books I paid less than $1 for. So if you aren't doing that, be sure to swing by your local library sometime and see. They probably have a shelf of pre-owned books, maybe books that have been on their shelves before that they're trying to get rid of. Go see what they've got sometime. You will probably be surprised by the selection. This one is How to Read a Book, The Classic Guide to Intelligent Reading by Mortimer J. Adler and Charles Van Doren. I think this is a classic. I picked it up mainly because the title, How to Read a Book, is something I'm interested in and want to learn more about that. But also I think I have heard of this book. I think, I might be wrong on this. I should have double checked this first. I think Stephen King mentions this book in his book about writing, On Writing. I'm pretty sure he does. I may be wrong about that, but because this is a classic published in 1940, it would have been something King would have been familiar with, so I think that's where I've heard of this before. So yeah, looking forward to diving into that and, hey, learning how to read a book for once in my life. But yeah, it really, I guess that's not really a history or fiction. That's kind of a category all to its own, kind of going hand in hand with that one. Ordering Your Private World by Gordon MacDonald. This is about how busy we get in life, and this is about taking time for the inner world, for your spiritual life. And I've started this one, gotten a few chapters into it. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's one of those things that most of us probably would admit. I got to take time to figure out, not just stay busy with all the things of life, but take time to figure out the inner life. I think this is a good book to help with that. So let's see, where to next? I'll go with this one. This is also, I don't guess this is fiction, but it's written by a fiction writer. John Steinbeck's Travels with Charlie in Search of America. I actually have this book already, not this edition of it. This is a Penguin book, as you can see there on the back. It's a Penguin book. This one is actually, when is this from? It's in fairly decent shape. This is a paperback from, looks like the 60s is when this is from. 1962 is what I'm seeing. So from a book in 1962, other than a little crease through the cover here, pretty good shape. And that's why I picked it up. I've got a newer copy of this book, but pages are starting to fall out. I've read through it. I'm reading through it again. I really, really love this book. If I was going to make a list of my top 5, my top 10 favorite books of all time, I've come across this one fairly recently, but I'm not so sure that this book doesn't make it into my personal top 10 favorite books. It's just, I don't know. It scratches that itch of wanting to just hit the road and go and see places and things you've never seen before. Just kind of that road trip. Some of you may not have that urge, but some of you absolutely do have it. This scratches that itch, and it sort of gets that, I want to go travel and see stuff. And he's doing it with his dog, which is all the more interesting and all the more fun. So I really love that book, Steinbeck Travels with Charlie. All right, let's see. Here's one that is probably more for a more niche audience, college football audience, but I came across this one. Coach, The Life of Paul Bear Bryant, most well known for his time as the head coach at the Alabama Crimson Tide football team, college football team here in the United States. Also coached at other universities as well, Kentucky, Texas A&M. But a football coach, legendary college football coach. I live here in Alabama, not an Alabama football fan, but this is a very influential character in the state of Alabama because college football means a lot. So this is a very influential character in the place where I live. And the book was in really good shape, really good condition. Just a paperback published by Simon & Schuster, but really good shape by Keith Dunavant. So looking forward to breaking into that one. All right, now what's next? Here's one of the ones I came across that it's got a nice cover on it. Memoirs of the Second World War, an abridgment of the 6 volumes of the Second World War by Winston Churchill. So really was really pleased to be able to pick that up. It's in, once again, one of these books that I picked up from library shelf, pre-owned book that they were selling. I think I probably paid, it was either 25 or 50 cents for this book, and it's in remarkable shape because it's got this dust jacket cover on it and the plastic cover. Pages are in good shape. I'm really glad to have this. I started reading it some and I thought, oh, this is going to be, it might be a bit dry reading, but I am interested in this. So World War II is one of those areas of interest for me. So glad I got that one. Here's another one that I got that I'm not so sure I'm going to enjoy it when I get around to it. We'll see. This is The Family by Kitty Kelly, the real story of the Bush dynasty. I saw it, I picked it up, and I thought, I've got a lot of books about the Bushes, and or I'm trying to collect more. There's a few actually in this stack about the Bushes. I thought I'll get that. That's perfect. Then I started going through it after I got it. It's like, this this is like this sort of reads like a tabloid, like a gossip column. I don't know that this is going. I'm sure there's some truthful things in here, but I don't know that this is going to be up my alley. I think this is more sensationalism than anything else. We'll see. I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm sure it'll be interesting if nothing else, but you can let me know in the comments if you know stuff about her work. I know she did other stuff about Nancy Reagan and others. She has, I guess, a bit of a reputation, I've learned, for being sort of this tabloid sensationalist. Doesn't mean that things in here aren't true, but so I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But at the very least, it is about a subject I'm interested in. Kind of staying with that theme, I got this one. Inside, this is a nice little paperback book. Inside the Presidency of George H.W. Bush, edited by Michael Nelson and Barbara A. Perry. This is a Cornell University Press. So just a pretty, as you can see, not a very thick book, but kind of a more, looking at it, maybe more technical approach here, kind of a more technical breakdown to his presidency. And it divides it into various areas. But yeah, really glad to have that one about George H.W. Bush. Staying in that same vein, I picked up another one that was in really good shape, one that you probably have or have seen before, Shadow, 5 Presidents and the Legacy of Watergate by Bob Woodward. I have read, in fact, the one about, I forget the name of it now, but I have it sitting over there, paperback, about the first 100 days of the War on Terror after 9/11. George W. Bush. I have that one and I've read all the way through it. Bob Woodward is a fantastic writer. It makes for really just reading that you just can't put down. And so I was interested in this book and glad to come across it. As you can see, nice hardback in really good shape. So certainly glad to have that one. And going along with that, I think I have another one. Go ahead and knock out Bob Woodward's at the same time. This is Plan of Attack by Bob Woodward. This is a little bit more, this is the War on Terror, but it's more he wrote the one about the first 100 days. This is more the next few years of the War on Terror. So he's got some of the main characters there on the back as well as on the front cover. I've already started this. I'm several chapters in. This is one of those eras of history that is very interesting to me personally. I was born in 1991, so I was 10 years old when 9/11 happened. Some very formative years of my life, teenage, high school, early college years, this was, the War on Terror this is what was in the news all the time. It's amazing to me still to stop and think that, there are folks alive today, especially kids, folks that are, say, 21 years old right now. They were not alive when 9/11 happened. And that's just crazy to me, because that is one of the, for some of you who watch this, the assassination of JFK or the wall in Berlin coming down were like moments that are etched in your memory. You can remember where you were when that happened. 9/11 is that moment for me. And so the history surrounding that, leading up to it, what happened after it, I'm very interested in, and I've gathered quite a few books about it, and I've read quite a few books about it. So really glad to add that one by Bob Woodward to the collection. All right, down to 5 more. You hang with me for that? These are good ones. In fact, I'm going to save the last 3. I'm really excited about the last 3. Jack, A Life Like No Other by Joffrey, I hope I'm saying it right, Joffrey Perrott? I don't know if it's Perot. That's not what I would think. But anyway, really, really good book. I've got a couple of books on JFK. This is another one that I'm adding to the stack. I've read a few things about JFK, John F. Kennedy, but not a lot. So I've got a few books on him now. I need to start kind of breaking into some of that collection I have on JFK. Here's one that I was excited to find. It is a paperback. Would have been nice to get in a hardback, but it's a good starting point. The Years of Lyndon B. Johnson, Volume 1, The Path to Power by Robert A. Caro. So, if I'm not mistaken, he has 3 or 4 books. This is Volume 1, and there's like 3 or 4 in this series about Lyndon B. Johnson. So this is just sort of how he, I assume from the title, rises to power. A very interesting president. One of the eras of American history that I'm interested in is the Vietnam War era. He's obviously a very critical player in that, critical character in that. So I've heard about this series before, but I've never come across any of them. And this one was in pretty good shape. It's got a little bit of some, I don't know if you can see that on the camera. It's a little wavy there on the back, but for the most part, it's in really good shape. So really glad to have this. Maybe break into that at some point in the future. The thing about the books that I like, biography and history like this, is they're almost never just a little bit, you don't often run into books like that. They're usually like this, which means they take a long time to read, or a longer time to read. All right, these last three, I have read one of these books by Jon Meacham before, but never this one. Paperback, American Lion, Andrew Jackson in the White House by Jon Meacham. I know I've read Jon Meacham's book on Thomas Jefferson, but I've not read this one before. And in fact, in my personal collection of books about the presidents, maybe that'll be a video at some point if y'all want to see that. There are plenty of folks, I'm sure, who have more books about the U.S. presidents than I do. But I've got a decent little collection on books of the U.S. presidents. But up to this point, I don't think, and I'm looking at my shelf now, I don't have a book about Andrew Jackson. So really glad to have this. This is a really good book. I've heard a lot about it before. So as far as Andrew Jackson goes, this is one of the better ones. So really glad to be able to add this. These last two, the day that I'm filming this, I actually found these earlier today, and I'm super excited about them. I've already started reading one. I know I have heard of this one I'm about to show you before I came across it, and these are in fantastic condition. Gods and Generals, a novel of the Civil War, the heartbreaking saga of the years preceding the Killer Angels by Jeff Shaara. His dad, his father, Michael Shaara, wrote The Killer Angels. I believe he says here back in the mid-70s. He wrote this, and I think this was published in 1996. And I think maybe when I was younger, I've maybe read this book before, but I'm not sure. Certainly don't remember seeing it like this. It would have been in a different form. But this book is I came across this at my local library. And look at this. This is, other than maybe a little bit of some fading on the edge here, this book is in perfect condition. It's like it sat in a box since the day it was published. Because the cover is, this is almost no wear and tear on this at all. And it's a beautiful, let me open it up for you here, just a beautiful cover. But really looking forward to reading this. This follows basically the lives of 4 influential people in the Civil War. It follows Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, Robert Chamberlain, I think is his name. And then it follows, who's it, Scott, Winfield Scott, I think is the other one. He says it here in the front. Robert E. Lee, Thomas, Jonathan Stonewall Jackson, Winfield Scott Hancock, and Joshua, not Robert, Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. So it's fiction, but it's I guess you might say this is historical fiction, as he tries to, basically piece together, what were these people like? It's not pure history, but so he's inventing some things like conversations, but he has made it as historically accurate as he possibly can. So really looking forward to reading this. The Civil War is one of those areas that I'm very, very interested in. And then finally, this one is the one that comes right after it, The Last Full Measure by Jeff Shara, New York Times bestselling author of Gods and Generals. So another, the way these work, and reading about it, Gods and Generals are the couple of years leading up to the Civil War and the Civil War leading up to the Battle of Gettysburg. The book his father wrote, Killer Angels, The Killer Angels, that basically covers the Battle of Gettysburg. So in the series, this is book 1, Killer Angels, which I don't have that one. They didn't have that one there. That's book 2. This is book 3. This is basically from the Killer Angels, the Battle of Gettysburg, through the end of the Civil War. So sort of I believe it's a 3-book series. And it's interesting that his dad wrote the first one, the one in the middle, and then he wrote the book on either side of the one his dad wrote. But another one of these books, it's just in fantastic condition. Looks like it sat in a box from the day that it was published. So certainly really excited about those 2 books. I'm not a huge fiction reader, but if I am going to read fiction, I really enjoy historical fiction. So those are right up my alley. It's about the Civil War, which is one of my main interest areas. So yeah, those are, that's everything I've gotten in the last few weeks. And because I've gotten all of these from like my local libraries, all those books I showed you, I don't think I paid more than $10 for all of these books. So, if you're like me and you don't want to spend a huge amount of money on books, if you're, unless you're having books sent to you for free, which some of you are, good for you. If you're not having books sent to you for free and you don't have an unlimited budget, like the other 99.9% of us, check out your local library. The money, I'm sure, will be helpful to them, and you will probably find some really awesome books in really good condition. And hey, if you can find something for cheap, go do it. Anyway, it's been my book haul. I'm looking forward to watching more of y'all's. I enjoy watching those videos on BookTube. And until then, see you next time, BookTube.